I transitioned away from that and became a coach. And I didn't think I was going to work with men. I started working with men because a friend of mine included me on a YouTube video about squirting. And he was like, I want to do a video with you. You're a great educator. Okay. I was coaching, but I was coaching anyone who came to me at the time, bisexual women and men. And we did this video on squirting, and the internet loves squirting.
It does.
It does. The internet, I know that part of them. And so all of a sudden I had literally thousands of men coming to me, asking me for coaching because they saw that I, had done this video, and they, a lot of them, and this is how I got my specialty in premature ejaculation, because a lot of them wanted to learn how to make a woman squirt because they really wanted to sort of make up for something that they saw as a lack of their ability to perform or an insecurity that they had. So they thought, I'll learn this thing that will make me a memorable lover, that will make up for the things that I feel I lack. And, and now here we are 9 years later, and I've been working with men ever since.
Okay. So with, you work with mainly men. Is that one of the top problems that you see a lot of? And I'm also curious, having done this for so many years, are there problems that you're noticing that have increased in issue over the years? I'm just curious about that.
So 1/3 of men will experience premature ejaculation in their lifetime. So it's very, very common.
Okay.
But there's no blue pill equivalent for premature ejaculation, so we don't hear about it as often. It is very distressing for the people who are dealing with it, both men and their partners, as is erectile dysfunction. It's not a competition between them. But I think that the reason that PE doesn't get discussed as much is just there's not a lot of money to be made on it. Erectile dysfunction, about 40% of men in their 40s, 50% in their 50s, 60% in their 60s. The thing that I see that I'm most concerned about is more erectile dysfunction in younger men. And I think a lot of that has to do with the way that some of it has to do with porn consumption. Some of it has to do with just the other things that people are publishing and reporting on right now with younger generations where they're more divided, they're having less sex, they have less intimacy. We still don't fully understand the influence of the pandemic on the generation that's now in college and moving out of college. But it seems across the board that they are experiencing a lot less intimacy in all various ways than previous generations. Oh, we have some research. 1.5. So there are drugs. They prescribe SSRIs, selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors, are prescribed off-label for premature ejaculation, usually a subperceptible dose, because we're not talking about people who actually are dealing with depression, right? Yeah. There is a relationship, it is not fully understood by science, between ejaculation and serotonin. And that's why we think that SSRIs influence a man's ability to hold off on ejaculating. The other cool thing about premature ejaculation is
it's not cool.
Here's
not cool.
Sorry, here's what's cool about it. Is that the behavioral modification treatment is 98% effective. I put 300 men through this program as I developed it. I call it Come When You Want. That's my methodology. Okay. And I've only ever had 2 not be able to end their premature ejaculation. And to be honest, I think they could have, but they weren't willing to make all of the lifestyle changes. They just couldn't make the changes that they needed to make in their personal and professional lives in order to actually see that be a permanent shift in them. That's the other cool thing about it is you don't need to take a pill every time in order to be able to develop control.
So I know that's a course that you teach, but what are some of the big things for guys who might be dealing with that?
Yeah, so kind of my thesis around premature ejaculation is that much of it is based on tension. It's tension in the body, it's tension in the mind, it's tension in the relationship, right? Because if we define orgasm as the pleasurable release of the buildup of tension, and you go into sex tense, you're already right there. It's a miracle that you're not,
just busting right now.
Anytime, yeah. So so the method that I came up with is sort of designed on how do we reduce tension in the physical body? Also, how do we reduce tension? It's in the mental body, in the emotional body, and also it's about teaching men how to understand their arousal in a more meaningful way. So if you It is also true that your pelvic floor can be incredibly tense, and some exercises that men do unknowingly are adding tension to their pelvic floor, right? They think they're strengthening it, but they're actually—
a lot of powerlifters in this audience. You're dealing with a lot of tension in this
audience.
A
lot of tension in here. Yeah, I mean, tension can be a good thing. Tension is what is exciting about sex, right? But if you are unknowingly tightening your pelvic floor, like one of the things that I teach is a reverse Kegel. We're familiar with the Kegel, which is it's squeezing the muscles that hold in urine.
Stop your pee.
Part of your pelvic floor. Yes, stop your pee.
Okay.
But that is an up and in motion, right? And a lot of men experience a lot of up and in because they're like kind of constantly like protecting their gonads, right? Protecting your nuts. Like that's an up and in motion, right? So that's all tension, tightness. So if we pair the Kegel with a down and out motion and we push down and out in the same muscles, I like to think about it like an elevator, like it's at ground floor, and then we squeeze up and in, it's on the first floor, and then we gently, it doesn't need to be like a full, we don't need, there's no trophies at the end of this. If we gently push down and out, we're extending the pelvic floor.
Yeah.
Right? So if we're just pulling up and in, we're losing the flexibility.
This might be TMI, but you kind of feel the taint elongates.
Yeah. That's exactly it. Yeah.
Gil Headley talked about this, remember?
Mm-hmm.
He was like, yeah, okay.
I'll say to my clients, like, put 2 fingers on your taint if you're not sure, because we want to build the brain-body connection. I want you to be able to isolate this part of your body. I also teach them about the arousal spectrum. Like, you're constantly on a scale when you're aroused between 1 and 10, 10 being the point of no return, which is the scientific name for that is the point of ejaculatory inevitability, which I think is like just a beautiful phrase. Isn't that great?
Yeah.
It's like an iambic pentameter. Ejaculatory inevitability. Like, that sounds good. I like that a lot. So if 10 is the point of no return, and 1 is like, I'm just beginning to get tingles of arousal, where are you at any given minute? And if you're in your head a lot, or if you're watching porn and so much of your attention is on the other person, again, whether that person is on a screen or with you, you're not really tracking your own body that closely, right? Yeah. And I this is part of most people's system for working on this is to learn how to edge, how to get close to having an orgasm without going over. Right? So that you know when you're at like not just a 9, but like a 9.5 or like a 9.8 on that scale, right? Yeah. So that you can make a change. And then, is that change going to be based in changing your breath, changing the position, changing the stroke, changing the dirty talk, the kink that you're playing with, like, making the modifications so that you can last. And what happens over time is that we all of these systems come together, the physical, mental, emotional stuff, and they develop more and more and more stamina. And the other piece of this is I tell them to masturbate differently. Almost every single person who comes through my door, male or female, non-binary, like the first thing I'm going to ask them about is how do you have sex with yourself? Because if you want to have sex with someone else differently, it has to start with you.
I don't. The Bible tells me not to.
I don't do anything the Bible tells me not to. But really, like you're practicing for the game solo, and then you get to the game and you expect to get different results than how you practiced.